They're standing on your porch, and that's not their property, and they tell you that this is not your property. What went through your mind when someone is standing on your porch and they say, well, you don't live here?
Well, that's when I was battle tested as a black man, as a man that been to prison, that's, had to transition and learn how to put pride and ego to the side and control your emotions.
Okay.
That's when that kicked in. That was the ultimate battle test. Because in my mind, I said, the audacity of her. That was in my mind, but I had to control my emotions in the moment because I knew where it could have escalated at. I'm thinking, well, what if she had a gun?
Correct.
Would she have been running or would I have been running? I'm proud to go home. Shannon, something I want you to know is when they say it's an affluent neighborhood, it's one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in Ohio.
Wow, congrats.
And my house is the best house in the neighborhood.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because
come on now.
My house is the best house in the neighborhood.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because
she did end up calling the police.
She did end up calling the police.
She did call the police.
Okay.
Wait, before you finish watching the video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are affecting social change through social media. Today, we're going to be hearing from DeMichael Jenkins, the land developer who was racially profiled while in front of his own home. Let's hear from him and his wife on how they felt the night of the incident.
We're going to welcome DeMichael Jenkins. Mike, if you can, go back. I know it was November, and here we are in late January. If you can recount the events as you remember as vividly as you possibly can.
Yeah, I can remember. It wasn't too long ago. I was leaving one of my real estate job sites in the inner city, wrapping it up for the day. It was about 5:15. Took me about 45 minutes to get home. So I'm proud to go home. Shannon, something I want you to know is when they say it's an affluent neighborhood, it's one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in Ohio.
Wow, congrats.
And my house is the best house in the neighborhood.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because
come on now.
I designed it from scratch. I'm an architectural designer. I bought the land, I financed the land, designed it from scratch, and I built it from the ground up using all my resources. So proud to come home. I'm pulling up, checking out my Christmas lights we just put up for the holiday season. And there happens to be a lady in the driveway with 2 kids. So I don't think nothing of it. Kids coming in and out of my house all the time. I got kids, got a family over here. I don't think nothing of it. I think she's looking for the front door. I say, hey, are you looking for somebody? She doesn't answer. She then proceeds to go to the porch. So I'm like, okay, so she's probably coming over. So I pull in the driveway. I'm about to park, and she rings the doorbell and comes to the front of the front porch and stops me and says, do you live here? And I said, yeah, I live here. She said, well, I don't think so. So I said, well, what are you doing here? She says, I don't think you live here. Picks the kid up, drops the stroller, hops off the porch, starts running, and I hear screaming, yelling for help. At that point, now I'm in fear. I'm in fear because I know what we face as black men in America. So I rush to the garage, park in the garage, come in the house. My wife's in the office. I said, babe, some white Caucasian lady, she just jumped off our front porch, screaming, yelling for help. I don't know if she's going to call the police. I'm pacing back and forth. I don't know what's about to happen. 6 p.m., regular day. We pacing back and forth. I don't, at this point, I'm like, I don't know what's about to happen. She comes back before the police gets here. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to go outside with them outside. And the police pulls up, and I don't know what's going to pop off. If the police pull up, altercation happen, anything could happen. Right. I know they're going to side with them. So my wife's come outside, and she just wants to figure out what's going on because she's in shock. And I let her say
how she ended up coming outside or whatnot.
Okay, when he
came home and he said,
I was going to ask you. He
ahead.
Comes into the house. He says, babe, there's a white lady standing on our porch. She's running, yelling, screaming. I don't know what this is about. And so what's going through your mind when he explains what he just encountered?
I was in my office working and I'm confused. I'm not understanding what's going on. Like, what do you mean there's a white woman running, screaming for help? Screaming for help for what? He's like, I don't know. And immediately my heart dropped. I'm like, walking and pacing back and forth. Like, okay, just wait. Okay. Well, what happened? Nothing. I was just pulling in the house. And I'm like, what is she screaming for? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, what? What? And I keep opening up the door because I feel like the police is going to come here. Somebody is about to come here, and I don't know what's going to happen.
Mm.
I don't even know what fully happened. I didn't hear anything. I'm in the house working.
So
And so I kept opening up the door, and that's when I came out.
so she did end up calling the police.
She did end up calling the
She
police.
did call the
Yes.
police.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Now, this happened in November. The video just recently got released. What caused you guys to release? Because I'm glad this is on Ring camera. Because you're absolutely right. Had this not been captured on camera, on video, we already know the story that was going to be told and how it was going to be spun. But you guys had it on camera. What made you guys finally decide to release it?
Well, I actually released the video in our community Facebook group.
Oh.
We have a community Facebook group, about 500 or so people, and ever since I've been like, we've been shattered, we've been upset, it's so many different factors and so many different feelings. Feelings. I put the video in our community Facebook group to share what happened, and it took a lot for me to do that. And then we woke up and the videos everywhere.
You know what's funny? It's one thing to experience racial profiling in public. You know, in public, I'm sure we all have stories where it happens in that setting. But for it to happen in your own home, I mean, it can be unsettling. It can be uncomfortable, especially when it comes to a place that you call a place of peace that we can all get away from, you know, from the outside world. Has that affected your sense of security and trust in the neighbors? And have you reconciled in any way with the neighbor who caused these issues?
Of course, there's a lack of trust. Of course, it makes us feel unwelcome and unsafe. We have 2 boys, and he leads our family. He protects our family. So to know that we can't go walk the dog, or someone looking at us is what's going to happen. It's a lot of weight. It's a lot of pain, and it's a lot of emotion.
I can still,
And he's desensitized to this.
I still hear it in your voice.
So of course, not once have we got. I thought the next day maybe there would be some flowers at the door saying, not once has this person reached out to us to give us
Publicity with our house. So it really was, it was shocking. But they stay to themselves in the neighborhood.
Let me ask you this. When you walk up and you ask, what can I help you with? And she says, is this your house? You say, yeah. And she says, I don't believe you. When someone tells you they're standing on your porch and that's not their property, and they tell you that this is not your property, what went through your mind when someone is standing on your porch and they say, well, you don't live here?
Well, that's when I was battle tested as a black man, as a man that been to prison, that's, you know, had to transition and learn how to put pride and ego to the side and control your emotions.
Okay.
That's when that kicked in. That was the ultimate battle test. Because in my mind, I said the audacity of her. That was in my mind, but I had to control my emotions in the moment because I knew where it could have escalated at. I'm thinking, well, what if she had a gun?
Correct.
Would she have been running, or would I have been running? It took everything out of me, you know, not to get out of character. And especially when they came back, you know, she brought her husband back. He was real standoffish. I was scared to go outside, but I sat on it. I was listening. I said, I can't let my wife sit out here with these people. What if the police pull up?
Right.
So, you know, I went outside and I just had to make my face known. And I had to let them know I do live here. A black man does live here. I did build this house from the ground up. I did design this house. I had to show my face.
My son came home from work, who's 17, and said, Mom, what if I was taking out the trash? What if she had a gun? What's going on? Why are the police here?
That's crazy. Hey,
But I knew I had to make this report.
Hey, despite the difficulties of the situation you've been through, have you guys, or are you guys moving forward with reclaiming your sense of safety, being that it is home, and in any way, despite them not, you know, giving sincere apologies or letting you know that we welcome you here in our home, especially HOA and the neighborhood themselves, do you still have hope and motivation to keep sharing your story from this point on for others that might encounter these situations and ways they can prevent things from happening and being able to de-escalate those situations?
100%. I have nothing against their family, but I grew up dealing with this all the time. So we still have to live here. They live 2 streets over. We have to ride by each other's house. I'm upper. I build houses from the ground up, single family houses, but I thought that moving into the most wealthiest neighborhood in Ohio, that this was the right thing to do. But maybe my focus needs to be building communities that's for us and by us, so that we can inspire people that look like us. We can build a community that's for us.
Can I ask you a question? You said something very about, since your privacy, your security, have you thought about potentially even leaving that neighborhood and going elsewhere? Or you saying, nah, y'all not finna run us up out of our home?
100%. I've been in Ohio my whole life, and I faced racial discrimination at its highest peak. I'm a stereotype person, tattoos, dreadlocks, a man that's in the professional world, in the real estate development world, that you don't see too many minorities building multi-million-dollar homes. It doesn't happen here. So we 100% have thought about moving to another state, taking my talents elsewhere, building a community, to going places where we could be surrounded by more people that look like us.
Now, I want to say this appears to be a blessing in disguise. You have this successful land developer and actually real estate developer, and now he's realized that moving into a predominantly white neighborhood is not always what it seems to be, and taking his talents elsewhere, building a sustainable community where people who look like him will be attracted to live, in multi-million-dollar homes. That is going to be the new trend, and it is a wake-up call for him to say, you know what? Instead of trying to move into the affluent neighborhood, let's create our own affluent neighborhood where we don't have to worry about being racially profiled in our own homes or on our own street. Let's get into it. Well, there you have it. I mean, you heard it from DeMichael Jenkins and his wife. You can tell they have been affected by this situation. I'm glad that he mentioned, what if she had the gun or a gun? I think she would have been shooting and he would have been running. So I think it's important to note that this could have ended a lot worse. And it's just something to say, when you move into a predominantly white neighborhood, you kind of got to expect these type of things to happen. I mean, they don't expect you to be there. And when you decide to move your family into a 98% predominantly white neighborhood, this is what comes with it. And it's sad to say that. I mean, it's unfortunate that that's the world we live in, but we do have to be a little realistic with our situation. What are your thoughts after hearing from the husband and wife, the victims of this racially profiling event? What are your thoughts? They seem like very, quiet, well-to-do, successful, hardworking people. And I think no one wants to come home to their home and just to be embarrassed by someone yelling, help, 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 as if you're a criminal. You've worked your entire life to separate yourself from being a criminal. And just because you have locks, just because you don't have the complexion for the protection, being black, it should be no reason for you to be subjected to such embarrassment and just unnecessary disruption. She should have been cited. She should have been fined. How dare you come into this community and just start screaming and disturbing the peace for no reason? And it has to be a standard of decorum amongst neighbors. And if you don't know the neighbor, you have to stop and watch and wait and see where they're going. And if they're not pulling into your driveway, you just keep walking. It's that simple. Overall, what are your thoughts? This is King Messiah. I want to credit Shannon Sharp, the Nightcap. That's the interview. That's who conducted the interview with Michael Jenkins and his wife. And I appreciate you all for sticking along with us on this journey. It means the world. Hey, y'all have a great day. King Messiah.